I can now vote with an accessible voting machine, which is fantastic. But if transportation is an issue or I have some other physical disability that I'm not able to leave my home, the ballots aren't accessible.
My name's Bill Stump. This is my son Kyle Stump. We're on a panel with Senator Gillibrand, Senator Harkin, and Senator Yoakum. Talk about disability rights. Do you want to introduce yourself here? So Kyle is 29. He works at Papa John's Pizza.
Today we had 3 different people talk about different types of disability issues and their life living with a disability and their family members living with a disability.
There were 4 goals of the Americans with Disabilities Act: full participation, equal opportunity, independent living, economic self-sufficiency. Where are we?
Accessibility is key for everything we do in our lives, and discrimination still exists.
Kyle is employed in competitive integrated employment. He's actually making above minimum wage now. Unfortunately, that's not happening for a lot of people.
How many people realize that 60% of adults with disabilities in America today are not in the workforce? 60%.
I've did stuff around my house to make my life easier. But once I'm outside my world, if I don't have bus service in my area and I have to call an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi, they may or may not come get me.
I became quadriplegic. Even though my hands work, it's hard to explain. They didn't at first. So I was thrown in the disability community. I was working full time, and I never expected to be needing assistance with anything at the age of 28, and neither did my parents. I need the laws to change to help us find more caregivers.
I want to make sure that the money follows the people, and this is how we allow people to live at home. We provide money, just as Senator Harkin said, we provide money for facilities to take people who cannot care for themselves. Well, what happens if you can care for yourself? Let's make sure that money comes back into the home, comes into the caregiver, comes into the individual. It's why I want to make sure that Social Security disability insurance is a living wage, that it's at least $1,500 a month for the person living with a disability and for the caregiver. So those resources can go right back into the homes and communities that are needed to care for individuals, whether they're living independently or living with a care provider. We need to fully fund the Independent Living Administration program within HHS. It's been underfunded under Trump. No surprise, he doesn't care about other people. He doesn't care about people with disabilities. He literally made fun of people with disabilities in his presidential campaign. I've never seen someone who has so little care for others ever to be in such a position of authority. It's a disgrace.
I want the topic of people with disabilities to get into the discussion. It needs to start getting mentioned more, and it's not been happening.
Before I became disabled, I didn't register to vote till I was 21 because I didn't feel like it applied to me. I think it's very important that anybody running for president learns about the disability issues and helps us to live independently and be productive citizens. We're voters.
This is part of my voting rights reform platform, that we have early voting, that we have vote by mail and making sure it's ADA compliant, making sure election day is a day off, making sure that every place of voting is ADA compatible. As president, I will do a couple of things right off the bat. First of all, I will have a person with disabilities in my cabinet because I think that is absolutely essential. That someone is at every decision-making table who can speak from personal experience.
Any candidate for president of either party who wants to have a forum or a discussion on disability policy, and they invite me, I will be there, if at all possible. I want to make that very clear. If President Trump wants to have a policy forum on disability and invites me, I will be there.
Thank you again for giving us this opportunity. You want to say thanks?
Good.